Speed packed into a global calendar. That's how many pro fans define F1. Every few days from March to December, the sport uproots itself and settles in a new country. One week, it's Melbourne, the next, Monaco, Mexico City, or maybe Japan. This full-scale traveling championship tests drivers across continents, climates, and circuits of every kind. The 2025 Formula One season carries 24 races over 10 months across 5 continents. Each weekend is different in terms of culture, track layout, elevation, temperature, tire stress, and crowd energy. This diversity eventually makes a world champion, and to understand how it all fits together, you need to start with the calendar and then look at the tracks themselves. The 2025 season starts in Australia, and that's a big deal. Melbourne used to be the traditional F1 curtain raiser. However, the infamous COVID-19 pandemic flipped things, and Bahrain took over as the new season opener. Now, after years, the sport has finally returned to Melbourne's Albert Park to kick off the year. It matters, not just for nostalgia, but because Australia has thrilling high-speed corners, variable grip, and tight margins. From there, the championship takes off. Round 2 goes straight to China. Shanghai returns after a multi-year absence due to pandemic restrictions. It's a wide circuit, ideal for overtaking, with a famous looping first sector. Afterward, the grid heads to Japan, specifically Suzuka, for round 3. Most years, Suzuka is a title decider. This year, however, it was an early litmus test. The championship swings into the Middle East by April. Bahrain and Saudi Arabia run back-to-back. Bahrain is smooth and predictable, but Jeddah is the opposite. It's known for narrow walls, 250+ km/h average speed, and night lighting. Theoretically, it encourages a street race pattern, which is faster than most permanent tracks. May brings the Miami Grand Prix, high on entertainment, but still maturing as a racing venue. Then comes Europe, Imola, Monaco, and Barcelona. Each track here reflects heritage and uniqueness. For example, Imola is narrow and ruthless. On the other hand, Monaco's glamour hides the fact that overtaking is nearly impossible. Barcelona, meanwhile, is the data goldmine. Here teams bring upgrades and pace gaps reveal themselves. Next, the summer takes the grid to Canada, then Austria, Silverstone, Hungary, and Belgium. Canada's circuit blends street and permanent elements, while in Silverstone, downforce matters most. Spa remains the longest lap on the calendar and often the most unpredictable, with its notorious elevation changes and sudden rain. After the summer break, it's the Dutch Grand Prix in Zandvoort, where fans create a literal orange sea. Then comes Monza, the holy grail of speed. The Italian Grand Prix has been on every calendar since the sport's founding. There's also Azerbaijan in Baku, which returns as a late-season surprise. Baku has hosted spring races before, but it moves to September this year. October and November are pretty packed. Teams will race under lights in Singapore, then face altitude battles in Austin, Mexico, and São Paulo, where drama and mess never end. By the time the grid lands in Las Vegas for the penultimate round, the championship will either be sealed or hang by a thread. Finally, Abu Dhabi will close the year in December. Across those 24 races, 6 weekends are designated sprint events. That includes China, Miami, Belgium, Austin, Brazil, and Qatar. On those weekends, Saturday becomes race day 2 with a 100-kilometer dash that awards points and reshuffles the Sunday grid. So, yes, it's more racing, more jeopardy, and less margin for error. Now, moving to the track types. Did you know you can never win a title by mastering just one track type? You need to conquer everything Formula One throws at you, which includes gripless street circuits, high-speed corners, technical sectors, long straights, altitude changes, and night races. Each track has its quirks, but most fall into 4 broad categories: permanent circuits, street circuits, hybrids, and night venues. Permanent circuits are purpose-built racing tracks. They have consistent grip, wide runoff areas, and facilities designed for motorsport. Think Silverstone in the UK, Suzuka in Japan, or Circuit de Barcelona Catalunya in Spain. These tracks are optimized for racing. There, drivers can push harder and teams can simulate performance more accurately. Then there are street circuits, where the track is a city like Monaco, Singapore, Las Vegas, or Baku. These races turn public roads into tight, unforgiving barriers. There's no margin, one mistake, and you're against the wall. Here, grip levels are unpredictable, surface changes often occur, and visibility can be challenging. Monaco, for example, has no straights. Likewise, Singapore is the longest race on the calendar due to its heat and corner density. Las Vegas, although newer, throws in extreme temperatures and high-speed sequences under bright neon lights. Now, speaking of hybrid tracks, they are a mix of both, part public road and part permanent facility. Montreal's circuit Gilles Villeneuve and Austin's Circuit of the Americas fit this mold. You get city-like unpredictability in some sectors and clean racing lines in others. These tracks push teams to compromise. Here, car setups need to balance straight-line speed with cornering grip, and that makes them some of the hardest venues to optimize for. And then there are night races. Singapore was the first. However, now, Jeddah, Las Vegas, and Abu Dhabi have joined it under lights. Night races look stunning on camera, but it's not all sunshine and roses. Cooler conditions unforgivingly change tire performance, and track temperatures drop compared to day races, which means less degradation and way less grip. Lighting also affects visibility, especially in safety cars or when drivers chase dirty air. The mix matters. You might dominate at Spa, but struggle in Monaco. You could fly through Silverstone and then falter under the lights in Singapore. That's what makes a season-long campaign so compelling. It's not a test of pace on one day, but endurance, consistency, adaptability, and resilience. Remember, Formula One doesn't crown the fastest driver. In actuality, it crowns the most complete one. You need to survive Monaco's mess, manage tires in Qatar, maximize upgrades in Spain, and read the weather in Belgium. Moreover, the 2025 calendar is a pressure cooker. It may reward precision but is least expected to tolerate impatience. Traveling between vastly different time zones, altitudes, and weather systems is obviously going to be brutal on the body and mind. That said, teams are expected to face logistical nightmares. Drivers need to maintain laser-sharp focus week after week, and there's no warm-up tour. Even for fans, following the calendar is an experience indeed. Each race feels different because it is. The sound of Tifosi in Italy is nothing like the Vegas Strip on race night. Watching Suzuka in the rain doesn't compare to Bahrain's dry heat. The energy and feel change, and so do the stakes. Overall, this story's timeline and circuits are as much characters as the drivers. They shape the race, reveal the flaws, and decide the title. So the next time you see the lights go out on a Sunday, think beyond the race. Think about where we are, what kind of track it is, what challenges it hides, and how this one venue might flip the entire championship. That's the beauty of Formula One. Every weekend is a new chapter, and 2025 might turn out to be its most ambitious season yet. If you like this breakdown, subscribe. We'll keep on going behind the podiums to pull out more such intriguing stories.